Hey everybody, I hope your new year is off to a good start. I know it's been a really long time since the last time I made a video, at least, let's say 7 months or so. I've been busy with a new job recently. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, teaching of course, but I wanted to come back and make a video since it's been a really long time since I've talked to you all about something that's been on my mind. Recently, I've been doing more studying for myself, not just languages, but also some math and sciences mixed in there as well. And I was thinking about what really makes me motivated to learn, not just for myself, but to be able to teach others. So as I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about in this video, I thought about three specific things that I really wanted to share with everyone that I think will help you in your journey learning whatever it is. A common theme that I think is going to tie these 3 points together is the idea of perspective. Basically, how you look at something and how you think about it, how you approach a new challenge is going to really dictate how successful you are and how motivated you feel to succeed in your goal of learning this new thing. Motivation is key, and motivation is great to have. And in the beginning of taking on a new challenge, especially learning something new, you might feel like you have all this energy, all this motivation that you want to put into take on this new task and really get off on the right foot. But what could happen is that you use up so much of your energy in the beginning that you end up burning out, get tired, and don't want to continue studying anymore in the future. So the first point of this video is to work on consistency instead of trying to have sudden bursts of no motivation. Consistency means trying to build up habits, right? And habits are basically things that we teach ourselves to do consistently over a period of time. If you wake up every day at 7 o'clock, it becomes a habit, and habits over time become effortless. So if you think you wake up every morning at 7, and make it a very small habit, let's say studying a new language for 5 minutes a day first thing in the morning. In the beginning, it might feel strenuous. You might feel, oh man, I have to wake up early, I have to do this studying every morning. But over time, it becomes habit, meaning that you won't even have to think about it. It becomes second nature. It'll be something that you just do passively instead of actively. So I want to encourage everyone to think about one thing that you've been doing recently or that you want to do more and make a schedule for yourself of when you're going to practice this skill. It could be as simple as saying you're going to clean one room of the apartment every day of the week until at the end of the week you have your whole apartment cleaned. If your habit is trying to eat more fruits and vegetables, you could say you're going to eat one piece of fruit with your breakfast every single day. If your goal is to read more, you can make it a habit to take 5 minutes right smack in the middle of your day, sit down, and just find something that you want to read, and just spend 5 minutes. This point about keeping things short is actually really important and ties into the second point, which is about focus. So a lot of the time when we start something new, we're studying, we're trying to improve a skill, we really want to focus, and we think that getting rid of all distractions is the key to being able to do something well and learn it well. But I have two reasons for why I think that kind of hyper focus might not actually be the best thing to do when you're trying to study or learn something new. The first thing is that when I study and when I'm practicing a new skill, I like to think about how I might use that or apply it somewhere else, apply it somewhere in my life. So this might mean if I learn a new word, let's say I'm reading an article, for example, in Chinese, and I see a new word, and I'm thinking, where else maybe have I seen this, or where might I want to use it? This kind of mind wandering is not super focused, is not the most relevant thing to maybe whatever I'm reading right now, but it's allowing me to make a deeper, more personal connection to the material that I'm actually reading. Think about when you have a conversation with a friend. You don't sit down with your friend and say, hey, today we're going to talk about cooking. Let's start our conversation about cooking. No, of course not. You just talk about whatever's on your mind, and the conversation just naturally progresses and evolves over time. You might start talking about food, eventually that connects to family, maybe to travel, whatever it is, but you see that in conversation, you don't have to dictate what exactly it is you're talking about. The things will develop naturally. So, in the same way, I think that it's fair to say that we need to be able to have some amount of mind wandering while we're studying or reading so that we can really explore these new ideas that come to mind, instead of trying to shut them out and say, no, I need to super focus right now. When you learn new words, try new skills, whatever it is, when you find new information and you apply it in a new way, you're being creative. And creativity really comes from within. So the closer something is connected to your core, the easier it will be to remember, the more enjoyable it will be, and the more meaningful it will be to you personally, because you really took a part of yourself and instilled it into what you're trying to learn. I think this might be a reason why so many students also have trouble staying focused, is because their teachers are telling them to stop thinking about other things, only focus on what's right in front of them. And at the same time, yes, this might be motivating, this might make it easier to stay on task, but at the same time, if you have these other thoughts, it can just make it that much harder for you to concentrate because you're really fighting against your own ideas. And this kind of stress, this kind of conflict leads me to the next point, which is if you hyper focus, if you're really forcing yourself to do something that's right in front of you, it's not enjoyable. Being imaginative, using your curiosity, finding out new things, that's usually enjoyable, right? So we want to be able to hold on to that feeling of wonder and curiosity when we're learning something new and not trying to push it down. So now you might be wondering to yourself, well, what if you do if the thing that you're trying to learn or the task that you're trying to complete just is inherently unenjoyable? For example, if you are washing dishes and you're just the kind of person who just hates washing dishes, you just don't want to do that task. Or you're a student in high school and you have to learn math and you just are not interested in it at all. You don't see how it's applicable to real life. What do you do then? Well, again, this is where creativity really comes into play. You have to give yourself a way to think about a different perspective to look at this task that you're doing or this thing that you're learning. Some things have really easy fixes. For example, if you're washing dishes and you dislike it, listen to music that you enjoy while you wash the dishes. You'll be so focused on trying to listen to the lyrics or just grooving with the song that you won't even think about what you're really doing in front of you. If you're a calculus student and you're solving math problems, theoretical things that don't even seem like they have real world application or not ones that you care about anyway, you can imagine yourself as a puzzle solver, a detective or something like that, where you have this mystery in front of you that you need to solve. Envelop the task in a context that is interesting to you. Give it some kind of purpose or meaning, and suddenly it will have purpose or meaning, at least to you. When we're little kids, we're like sponges, right? We learn languages, we learn new information, and we ask a lot of questions without effort. We just are that way. But somewhere along the line, we're told that students have to behave in a certain way, that we need to focus and not scribble in margins, not be on our computers looking at other things while we're trying to study. And somewhere along the way, learning just became a lot less fun for a lot of people. So one thing that I try to do as a teacher is make learning fun for my students. Now, of course, like with many other things, just like with meaning, something that is interesting or fun to you may not be necessarily fun or interesting to someone else. And again, it all comes back to perspective. I think one very powerful tool as a teacher that we can use to help students become more motivated to make connections with the things that they're learning is to use associations. When you learn something new, whether it's a word, a task, a skill, whatever it is, connect it to something that you already know. Connect it to something that you've done before. Let the mind wander within reason, and with some guidance, you can make some really profound discoveries about your own students as learners or even yourself as a learner. So my bottom line is this. The next time you try to learn something new, whether it's a word in another language, maybe how to make a new dish when you're cooking, how to use a new program on a computer, or whatever else it is, really. Think about how you would explain the thing that you're learning to a new person. Treat yourself as both teacher and learner and engage yourself in an active conversation about the task. Think less about what can I get from this information and think more about how can I connect to this information. So anyway, those are just some of my thoughts on how to be a better learner, how to enjoy the process of learning more. So once again, those 3 points were build habits surrounding the things that you want to do, make them consistent, and make them doable. Don't try to bite off more than you can chew, as the saying goes. The second point is don't try to hyper focus. A little bit of imagination and a little bit of mind wandering while learning is perfectly natural and if anything should really be encouraged. It means the gears in the brain are turning and you want that to happen. And the third thing is that remember, learning is an enjoyable process, or at least it should be. So if the way that you're tackling new information or a new task, a new skill, whatever it is not enjoyable, it means you have to change the perspective and approach it from a new way that works for you. Just like with any destination in life, there's always more than one way to get there. So I'll leave you with this. Imagine you needed to teach someone the word for a butterfly. Now, the person, let's say, knows the word for butter, right? The thing that you spread maybe on toast. And they know fly, as in like flying through the air. And you want to explain to them that this thing that they saw, this colorful, beautiful thing flying through the air, is called a butterfly, right? So instead of just telling the person, hey, that's called a butterfly, just remember that, maybe make it into a story. You could say something like, why did the boy throw a stick of butter out the window? Because he wanted to see a butterfly. Now, of course, that's just a silly example, but this is exactly the kind of thing that we need to do. Wordplay, association. Be silly and really enjoy what you have to learn. I wish you luck again, and I will see you in the next video when we talk about learning some more. For now, have a good day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.